Hey guys, before we jump into today's episode, I just want to give you a quick heads up. So you will see who our co-host is in just a minute. But due to not some technical difficulties, but I was recording this at my dinner table. There was a lot of ruffling and feathers and things like that. There were no feathers, but you understand what I'm saying. So you might hear a little bit of background noise. No big deal, just giving you a heads up. Before we dive into today's show, I also wanted to let you know that I'm putting this out on November 24th. That is the date that this is going live. You have 4 more days to apply for the Mom is in Control Mastery Program. Check it out. momisincontrol.com/MIIC. What I mean by you have 4 more days is you will automatically, once you register, go through the application process. If it's a right fit for you, you will be gifted a 60-minute strategy session with me. And what that means is it's a $300 value for coaching, additional coaching, one-on-one that will happen while you're inside the mastery program. This is a year commitment. It is definitely, the investment is going up in the new year. So I'm telling you, if you're interested, if you've been wanting to jump on board, now is the time. I am not bullshitting you. Now is a great time to get in. So head on over to momisincontrol.com/MIIC. And what do you got to do? Fill out the application, and then I'll be in touch with your next steps. All right, guys, you are so magic. And what I mean by you are so magic is you don't even understand your potential for possibility. I live and breathe this shit, and I still don't understand my potential for possibility. The truth is, you can do anything beyond your wildest dreams, and the only person that's holding you back is you. So I'm really excited for you to hear today's speaker. Very near and dear to my heart. This person means the world to me. I don't want to give anything away, but you know, when you think you've lost all hope and magic will never happen in your life, just don't give up. Don't give up on a dream. Don't give up on possibility. And definitely don't give up on yourself, because that is the most important person in your life. It doesn't matter if you want to be a mother, father, aunt, uncle, sister, brother, business owner, whoever you want to be. You are your greatest asset. So I'll keep my mouth shut and let's dive in. Podcast. I'm your host, Heather Chauvin, and today we have a very special co-host. Who are you?
I am Heather's husband, Bryan.
Oh my goodness, ladies. The time has come. He finally said yes. How long have I been doing a podcast?
A long time.
Yeah, and how many times have I asked you to have this conversation with me?
Hundreds.
So why is now the right time?
Because I just got back from sunny California, and I feel like I'm ready.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool. So, ladies, if you're not familiar with who I am, then I highly suggest you go back and listen to other episodes. One thing that I don't talk a lot about is marriage. I don't believe that I am a marriage expert, but one question that I always get from the women in the mastery program and you guys when you're emailing me is, how do I get my husband on board with parenting the way that I want to parent? How do I, get my husband to support me? How do I get my husband to fill in the blank? And I thought this was a really great conversation because, well, honey, you've had some transitions lately and some shit your pant moments, as I like to call them. Right?
I'd say so.
So what has happened in the last few months in your life?
Well, in the past few months, I have quit my job. I have made a scary voyage to California to attend a personal growth development experience.
It was like me on steroids.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was like 6'4", Heather.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I was like salivating when you were telling me about it. I'm like, oh, I want to do that. That sounds amazing. Even though I probably wouldn't go to that extreme because it was very masculine.
Yeah.
But you need a good, not you, but people in general need a good kick in the ass to get outside of their comfort zone. Right?
Kick in the ass would be putting it lightly.
Nice.
Sometimes it was forced on us. Sometimes it was volunteered. Other times it was just being supported by a group of like-minded individuals, which is, unbeknownst to previous thought, very, very, very important.
Awesome. So you and I have been on this journey. When did I start? So like I want to go back and okay, so a lot of the women that I attract and work with are people who want more in their lives. And so sometimes that's they're already in a career where they make good money and they want to do something for themselves, or they're a stay-at-home mom and they're trying to find a deeper sense of purpose. They're in transition mode, right? Or there's like huge conflict in their relationships and they're just trying to cultivate and create change. Whether they're used to coaching or not, I'm curious, like going way back because, I think, Calvin is 8-ish. It's been like 8+ years since I've been in this industry. I want to know how crazy you thought I was back then when I was like, hey, I'm going to hire this life coach and I'm going to start creating the life that I want, and I'm going to, quit my corporate gig and figure out who I am. Like, I want to go back to that moment, and then we'll bring us to like where we are today.
Well, going back then, to coin a very common phrase used in this house, I believe it is batshit crazy, I thought.
Really? I've never heard you say that before. You thought I was batshit crazy?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
When
the truth comes out. Thanks. I'm glad we're doing this.
When you made the suggestion to me, I could see you weren't happy in your present job, at the time, corporate Canada, and it was affecting your family life, and it was affecting us, and it was affecting our kids. So we talked about it, and we made a decision that you would pursue other things. Mm-hmm. That was not easy. There were some sacrifices that were made, but after you quit your job, the load was light and we could see a change very quickly in you. So
this is, when you talk about sacrifice, I feel like we're still making sacrifices.
Well, now we are.
But so it's interesting because to go from that point now, like over there where you were the breadwinner, and then it's completely shifted now, but our lifestyle is completely different, right? Like we've upgraded, we're good, we're beyond good, but now you're a real estate investor, and it's a completely different lifestyle, right? Because the money that you make, like you don't have to work 9 to 5 or 7 to 7. Like you don't need to work these ridiculous amounts of hours. And to be honest, you didn't need to work before and do this as well. So what do you think, and I'm totally diverting this conversation away from talking about me. What do you think took you so long to quit your job?
I am a creature of habit. We get comfortable in our stories that we need this or we need that, and we can't do this without this or that, and we don't rely on our teammates or our partners. And a lot of that is ego and pride and just bullshit stories that we tell ourselves.
So this question was asked, and I have it over here, but my computer died or the screen went down. I asked the ladies in the mastery program what they, I told them you're going through this process, and they had questions for you. So one of the questions was there anything he thought he knew for sure prior to making this journey, and has it been shattered, transformed? So what I mean by that is, when you're on the ledge and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to leap, I'm going to jump. I have these, I call them soul aches, but your ache to create time freedom. You loved your job. You loved your day job. You just wanted more time freedom, right? And so it wasn't about, oh my God, I hate this, I need to get out of this. You really liked the people that you worked with, but you were just working too much, and then you weren't able to focus on what mattered to you.
Well, that's a very good question. So I considered the people I worked for family. I loved them. We're very close. I did work a lot of hours, and I missed out on a lot. Activities at the school, lunches with the kids, dates with my wife. And it was very difficult to see life passing me by while I was working 50, 60 hours a week and being exhausted. So as the time drew near, I'm watching my routine become more and more miserable every day. I was more and more miserable doing the things that I loved to do, and we knew it was time. So when I separated myself, I retired from that job. We immediately transitioned very, very quickly into full-time real estate investor mode, which is being my own boss, trying to do my own thing, which I thought was, you need to be busy 24/7 because this is how it's done. This is how Steve Jobs did it. This is how the previous generation did it. Well, that's not true. And I'm getting some very valuable life lessons from my entrepreneur friends and the people that I connected with on my journey to California.
Yeah, because you were in a high-level mastermind with a coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk about what you've seen benefit for that, and how you leverage to get there, and blah blah blah. So I'm really transparent and open when I'm on the podcast about creating the life that you want and what needs to happen to make it happen. But I think so. We've already come to the conclusion that I was batshit crazy 8 years ago, right? When I made the conscious decision to come up to you and say, change is going to happen.
That's basically how it happened, yeah.
Okay.
No hiding that. I mean, I remember that very vividly, that you came to me and you said, I'm fucking miserable. I hate coming home from work being miserable, and change is going to happen. I think that's exactly how it was said.
Yeah, and so I'll get comments and questions from women going like, how can I have this conversation with my husband? But I think that's just part of my personality and who I am.
Well, I think a lot of it is not being afraid to communicate with your teammate, your partner, your husband, your wife, because from our perspective, we're blind.
Blind?
I would have never seen. I mean, there's.
Ooh, I like this. Okay.
There's certain.
You mean our perspective as men, or partners?
The partners. Yes.
Okay.
I don't see what's going on inside unless it's communicated. I don't see the feelings. I just see what happens, and typically, you guys are very good at hiding it.
Yes, and then I always receive, my husband doesn't support me. Mm-hmm. So what does that mean? When people are saying, my husband doesn't support me, does the husband even know?
The husband doesn't have the perspective. So one thing I learned on my trip was perspective is a lot. You can have a idea, but unless you share in that person's perspective, you don't truly understand their situation. You don't understand their world. Well, then you can't make an informed decision. You can't fully understand what's going on with them.
Yeah. I'd like to talk about, I want to flip that because I don't understand you. Okay. so I always talk, Janet Allison. I talk about her all the time.
Yes.
I went on vacation, or she came to California with me. She's the boys alive lady. So every time I don't understand you or I don't understand the boys, I'm like, I talk to Janet. And this woman has transformed my life in understanding that men and women are very different, right? Aha moment. Like, you don't need to be like me, and I don't need to be like you. And there is a time and a place for both masculine and feminine energy. And so I'm going to transition this conversation into parenting. That you don't need to be like me to the boys. They actually don't. They need male. They need a male role model in their lives. And so I hear this a lot from women. My husband is so harsh. He's so black and white. He's so get this done. If you don't respect me, la-di-da-di-da. And then the women are more nurturing, right? And when I say women, I mean masculine and feminine energy. And you probably don't even know what I'm talking about, but that's okay. So let's talk about the parenting aspect of partnership. And what that is like to live with a control freak like me.
Parenting is a constant battle of, am I doing this right? Am I not doing this right? Second guessing yourself. And it's a struggle with being consistent. It's a struggle with knowing what it is that you're trying to do and achieve. My biggest thing with our oldest son is I expect a lot. I'm very hard on him because he has amazing potential, and I see that potential. He's brilliant. He's extremely personable, and I want to make the best out of that. And I want him to break through these barriers that are preventing him, the laziness barrier, for example. Pushing him to get up at 6:30 in the morning to shower to start his day earlier so he can be better.
You're very masculine. I'm just kidding.
Thanks.
But it is perspective, right? Because I have a completely different perspective on it. How annoying is it to parent with me? Be honest.
At times it can be majestic, and at times it can be like rubbing salt in an open wound.
Himalayan pink salt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, be honest though. Why?
Because I am very, like you said before, it's black or it's white, it's cut or it's dry. And if it's not done properly, then it's a lose, and needs to be done properly. And you're a lot more forgiving in the sense that the effort was made, and let's move on. You're much better at connecting with the boys on that level, and I'm more of a creature of routine and habit.
I got you. But I think this conversation is really important because people will put me on a pedestal and be like, oh, you're the one who teaches this. Your life is perfect. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's like, I truly don't believe in expertise, when they say, oh, you're an expert at this. I'm like, fuck no, especially when it comes to children, because parenting is just a relationship. There's no like specialness of like how to parent. It's like how to treat other people the way that you want to be treated. But in generations previously, it was children are not seen or heard. So do not treat them like human. Do you get that, right?
Yeah, I think to kind of compliment you. So after the trip to California, I realized
You're complimenting me?
Yeah. After the trip to California, I realized that your relationship with your kids is much like the relationship with your wife. You need to invest daily. You need to figure out goals, and you need to help move towards those goals. I think that having a date night with the kids, each individual kids and as a group, is important, and investing in those relationships so that they see you as being able to have fun and spending time with them. And how do you want to be remembered?
Yeah.
I don't want to be remembered as the guy that always yelled at my kids. I just don't.
So, where did you pick that up? How do you want to be remembered?
A very wise woman said it, and it didn't kick in until I had to write my own funeral eulogy.
Yes, let's talk about that.
So this exercise came while I was in California after something we called, in the morning half of the day, was called Mount Motherfucker. And it was...
The podcast is explicit, by the way.
And it was an absolute miserable experience of running up a hill multiple times with a 40-pound sandbag on our shoulders that we call our stories. This bag was filled with our self-conscious beliefs and our things that were holding us back in life. So we did this for, I think it was about an hour and 40 minutes-ish, up and down this hill, up and down, nonstop, keep moving with this bag always on you. So after we got done that, we went back to the resort. We had lunch quickly, and then as we went back into the room with high fives and chest bumps, we walked into a funeral. And we were told that our old self died up on that mountain, and now it's time to rewrite how it is that you want to be remembered, how it is you want to rewrite the ending of your story from this point forward.
Right. And you even got, what's that paper called?
We got the little funeral remember card.
Yeah, like your picture was on it and everything, and it was like Bryan Chauvin, and then your date of birth, and then it was like died that day, and the essence was, you know, that version of you was gone, and the gruelingness of the discomfort that you felt while you were holding those stories, the sandbag on your back that you couldn't let go of. And as soon as you let go of that at the end of the exercise, this is Bryan 2.0. I think that's really powerful because, and you were talking about how when you're writing your eulogy, you're writing it from a space of everything that you've accomplished, your legacy, all of that from today, or not today, but that day forward. So whether it's 20 years, 50 years, 5 years, 10 minutes, whatever, you're writing everything that you've accomplished, everything that you've done, and how you want to be remembered. Go ahead.
Yeah, so one thing I didn't really get into is the emotions behind this. So as we were at the top of that mountain, after this grueling workout, legs are burning, while we were walking up and down, we had to figure out why we were on the side of that mountain. What is it that was driving us to move forward when we were in so much pain, agony, just keep moving? And I decided that was my kids in a certain aspect. I'm not going to get into that, but that's kind of something.
I was not your why.
No, you were not my why. But as we were climbing up and down... As we're climbing up and down the mountain...
This interview is done. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
As we're climbing up and down the mountain, at the end of it, we got up, we stood in our lines, in our specific lines that we had to go into. We held these bags up over our head for 2 minutes, and then we dropped them down, and we were told to empty out the sand. But we weren't emptying out the sand. We were emptying out all of these feelings and all of these beliefs and all of these previous stories that we had held inside of us. And out of 19 men, I guarantee you if I would have looked around and the camera footage is out, 19 of us were crying as we were doing this, because it was not seeing we were pouring out everything that was inside of us, and it was absolutely unbelievable. So then we go back and we're doing this funeral eulogy, and we were writing from a point of power. We were at that moment 6 feet tall and bulletproof, and anything could be created. You know, some of these men had great livings already going into this, and they were focused on their family, and others were vice versa. But it was very powerful to create the end result and then reverse engineer it from then to now so that we can figure out how it is that we're going to make this happen.
Yeah. It's scary.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, like, I truly believe the only thing getting in anyone's way is fear. But if you don't understand how to life hack fear, like if the true essence of fear, it will run the show. And I see so many people doing this in their marriages, in their parenting, when it comes to money, when it comes to their health. Game changer. So I'm curious, and you can be completely transparent. So we had to, anytime I've invested in myself, when what did you really think? I mean, when I started this process, it was like $1,000 program that I was like, hey, I want to take this $1,000. I remember it was $1,000 program. I was like, can I have your Visa? There's like 3 payments of like $350 or something. And I needed your Visa because mine were all full and I didn't have any money. And I understand, blah, 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 shared money. But like at that time, I was like, I have nothing, right? I expected you to give me everything. And then I went from there to a $10,000 mastermind where I went on these retreats and I was a fucking disaster. And I remember Calvin being like 3 months old or something, and you stayed home with him. And I was on the beach, and I called you sobbing, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing, but I'm terrified and I'm scared. And like I was breastfeeding, and my boobs were huge. They were in so much pain as I'm on this retreat. But we somehow always made it work. I've invested in myself almost every year after that. And now you're just starting to get a taste of the importance of personal development and really challenging yourself. And I mean financially, spiritually, emotionally, physically. And you've had to leverage, we've made it work. This program was like $10,000, right?
Yeah.
So can you just talk a little bit about I'm going to sneeze, so I'm going to stop this. All right, I'm back. Can you just talk a little bit about the power of investing in yourself and how your mindset was different when the money was going towards you versus the money was going towards something I was investing in?
Well, dang.
What?
That's a tough question. I think to answer the question inadvertently, kind of dancing around it, it was much harder because the magnifying glass was on me this time rather than you. And in my past, I'd be more than happy to give you all of the money to invest in yourself, to grow, to do this, because you're going to do the work. Well, now the microscope was on me, and I had to do the work. I had to make shit happen. I had to physically be there and pay attention and focus and get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely the hardest thing I've ever had to do.
But it was worth it.
Oh, at the end of the experience, after looking back, it was the best money I've ever spent, without question.
See, I like this conversation because I remember, and I tell this story a lot too, like the first time I invested in a mastermind experience where went away, had one-on-one, all of that fun stuff, like a big investment, not just like $100 here or there. At the end of the program, I told her, if I knew how this was going to radically change my life, I would have remortgaged our home to make this happen. And it plays mind tricks on you, though. Don't you think?
I think mind tricks is putting it lightly.
Like, why do you think it's easier for you to, if I was like, hey, I need this money because I'm going to do this, you're like, yep, go do it. Why is it easier for you to give it to me than to give it to yourself?
Just through past experience, you're going to be there and you're going to do the work. And I know this about you, and I've seen you do this multiple times through multiple masterminds or multiple programs. And with me, this is the first real time of investing and doing it.
Right.
And doing the work is so much harder than talking about doing the work. And I think people really underestimate how important commitment is. I mean, you can be committed, you can go to the gym, but going to the gym is not the same as physically getting a personal trainer, going to the gym, getting your ass kicked every day, inside and out. Because this is what this kind of experience is. This is a group of experts whipping your butt to become the best version of you possible.
Yeah. And it's also going, am I committed? Really? Do you know what I mean? Like, are you really committed? Just because you gave somebody your credit card and you physically shown up somewhere, it doesn't mean that on like a soul level, you are committed to change. Even though you're scared, even though these limiting beliefs might come up of like, I'm not good enough or I can't do this or whatever.
We hold these stories above us on our backs all of the time, and they limit us into what we feel we can accomplish, what it is that we feel we should be doing. Mm-hmm. And after going through this and being able to recognize these stories, I'd spend double the money to go back. Mm-hmm. Because we really do self-sabotage ourselves, and our commitment is not always commitment.
So I never, oh my God, I almost started crying, but I won't. I'll shove it down. I never thought we would get to this point in our relationship, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. I thought I was going to kill you in your sleep.
You probably were going to.
So, to be 100% transparent, because the ladies that are listening to this are craving freedom. And maybe, their relationships are going great, maybe not so great. They see potential, but they feel very, very stuck. What 5 years ago, you would have never said yes to this opportunity?
5 years ago, this wouldn't have even been on the docket. This wouldn't even have been a thought. I would have closed this door.
Even if I was like, it's fully paid for, you got a scholarship,
yep.
You wouldn't have shown up to do the work.
No.
So why now?
I think water on the rock. I think...
Bryan, you have all these fucking... Nobody knows what you're talking. Water on the rock. Is that me pouring water on you over and over and over?
Water dripping on a rock over a period of years erodes the rock. And after years and years and years of seeing you invest in yourself and change... and talk to me about how this is benefiting you, and planting that seed and watering the seed made me want to become better, made me want to join this journey. Now,
I can't keep cucumbers alive outside in the summer, but you're telling me a little seed has bloomed.
As I sit across the table from you, a lot of people, a lot of husbands are intimidated with having someone, their life partner, being much more evolved than them.
Really?
It's not an easy thing to think about. It's not an easy thing to accept that I'm not the best. And I sit across the table sometimes wondering, how the fuck did I get this far behind? Like, I'm that kid at the back of the classroom that's just keeping his mouth shut because I'm intimidated, I live with a Jedi. My wife is far ahead on this path, farther ahead than me, and I'm at the beginning line, still lacing up my shoes, and she's halfway down the race. I think that 5 years ago, this conversation would have had the door shut because I wasn't evolved enough. I wasn't ready. I hadn't experienced the things that we have experienced over the past 4 or 5 years to make me want to improve.
Do you remember the conversations, plural, that we would have when I was like, I made a commitment. So after, we'll talk about the whole cancer thing, but after cancer, I changed. Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Who was I after cancer?
After cancer, you were driven. You were not relentless. You had a goal to become the best version of yourself and not waste any time doing it.
And the reason why I say that is because I remember having conversations with you when I made, we talk about internal commitment, right? And how you can show up somewhere, but you're not really all there. Like, you're not really committed to making it happen. And I remember, I was like, I'm not willing to play small anymore. And if that means that we end up going our separate ways because I'm not, like, I want to become the best version of ourselves. I want to travel the world with our family. I want to make really good money so that I can give back in a bigger way. I want freedom in all aspects. And, when you and I look around to our community and our circles and all of that, not many people are doing this, right? And so, but we're starting to attract those people in our lives, but it's very weird. It's very outside of the box. And I remember having that conversation with you going, I love you dearly, but like, I don't know if this relationship is going to work forever because I'm not willing to play small because you're not willing to grow.
Yeah, I remember those conversations. And the funny thing is, even up until a little over a month ago when I was talking to my friends, some who I thought are like-minded individuals that are entrepreneurs that recently quit their jobs, say, yeah, I'm spending, $10,000 on a mastermind. Mm-hmm. And they question me, well, why the fuck would you do that? What are you going to get out of this? What is this about? And I didn't know. I said, I have no idea. We put this money out blindly, not knowing what to expect. And the reality of it is, like I said earlier, if I had to do it again, I'd pay double to do it. Mm-hmm. And in our community, there's not a lot of people that understand that the importance of doing that. There's not a lot of people that really feel the need to invest in professionals to become better, to level up, because it's absolutely necessary. Absolutely necessary.
Let's talk about, okay, so now you're just dancing around the questions. So let's talk about those conversations. Did you take me seriously?
Yeah.
Did you know I was serious and that eventually, we would just become like Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin?
I don't know who that is.
He's Coldplay, and what do they call it? Conscious uncoupling. That's the new thing now. It's like you get along, but you're just like becoming two different people, and you just have to co-parenting. Well, did you take me seriously? Like, she's gonna really fucking do this. She ain't gonna hang around forever.
There was never a question in my mind because you've never made a statement that you didn't hold true to. So as we lay there in bed or at the dinner table or over a glass of wine or wherever we were at the time.
Because I drink so much wine.
Well, at dinner we do. Anyway.
Who does?
When we're out for dinner?
How often do I drink wine?
Very rarely.
Okay, let's be honest.
Anyway.
No, you don't know the question.
I know the question.
Okay, go.
I don't know.
Fucking talk. Is this too long for you? Come on, Bri. You got this. Do you need another coffee?
I think so.
Okay.
So it's very difficult to talk about.
No shit, this. Sherlock.
I think, like I said before, there's never any empty threats in our house.
I'm gonna get a dog.
There's promises and there's statements and everything, and there's no bullshit in between. There's just not. And when you looked me in the eyes very seriously and said, if this keeps going this path, I'm gonna leave you. Well, there was never any doubt in my mind that would happen, and there's never any doubt that I would do whatever it takes to make the change, because I don't want somebody else parenting my children, and I don't want somebody else dating my wife.
Do you think anyone would ever be able to put up with me?
No. No, I don't.
Let's just be honest.
No.
Let's talk about how much I hated men when you and I met. I don't even know how you got over that brick wall. You were
Spider-Man.
You were relentless. You were relentless. Okay, so That's it. So it's so interesting how men think. So it's like a competition for you. Like, fuck, if I don't speed up, my wife's going to start dating other people. That's what you thought? You weren't like, oh, I love her dearly and I never want to lose her?
Well, that's obviously that's the thought process, but when I really boiled down the thought process, it came to, I'm going to lose my wife, I'm going to lose my family, some other jerk nut is going to be fathering my children. And I don't want that. I'm gonna be out in town and see my family with somebody else, and it's gonna drive me nuts because I was too lazy, too stupid to not evolve, or too proud to educate myself.
All I'm reflecting on is, who would that jerk nut be? Because I don't know. Yeah, I'd probably be like, I don't know. Anyways. I can't think of any other jerk nuts I'd rather be with, honey.
Wow. I'm a jerk nut.
So my question for you is, did I come from, and you can be honest, did I come from a place of either or, if you don't do, like, manipulation? That's my question. Was it manipulation, or like, was I forcing you to do something you didn't want to do, or was I just trying to get you outside your comfort zone?
You never physically held a gun to my head?
Thank God. We're Canadian anyways. We would never do that.
Yeah, I guess. But I think, like I said before, you've never made a statement and not held good to it. Right. So when you say, this is going to happen if you don't do this.
But that sounds very manipulative. Did it come from a manipulative place?
No, it was a fact. It came from a place of love. We were having a conversation about it, and you said, hey, I'm telling you this because I want you to make steps to change, because this isn't going to work if you don't. And we had more of a conversation about kind of the why, but I think it came from a factual place. It was a fact. If you don't do this, this is going to happen. But you were saying this like, I don't want this to happen, so please let me help you.
Right. Okay. So, yeah, that makes me sound like a manipulative bitch. Or at least that's just a story that I'm carrying. What was it like for you to watch me go through treatment?
It was difficult. You know, going through what you went through, it was hard to be on the sidelines. It was hard to be a person sitting on the side, not being able to do anything, but hold your hand or rub your feet, which I didn't do. Someone else was always doing that. But
these are the only two things that I could do for you, and I didn't do them. I'm just kidding.
I was there. Come on. Anyway, I think that it was crippling to me to watch all of this going on. You know, watching you vomit in these stupid styrofoam cups, or watching you shave your head because you didn't want to lose your hair. And for the most part, you went through this alone. And there's not a damn thing I could do to control it, which drove me nuts.
What do you mean I went through it alone?
Well, you were in this hospital bed for I don't know how many days, lots of days.
2 weeks at a time.
By yourself, for the most part, undergoing spinal lumbar taps and chemo and all sorts of different crazy shit that I can't even imagine. And a lot of the times I wasn't in the room. I was at work, and I was with the kids, and I was doing other things, and you were enduring this virtually by yourself most of the time.
I think anyone who has gone through any extensive health crisis, it doesn't matter how many people are around you, because we did have a lot of support, meaning your mother was amazing, my parents were great. You are alone because it is your own unique experience. And so you're watching everybody else around you who loves you, who just has this sad puppy face going, I wish I could take the pain away from you. But the truth is you can't. And it's my journey. And if I didn't go through it the way that I went through it, I wouldn't have been the person I was on the other side.
Very true.
Like if I didn't get to that point where, I was like, okay, am I dying? What's going on? And then realizing, okay, I see a small spark at the end of the tunnel. I'm going to fight like hell to learn how to live. I remember during those times when I would plead with you, I know I'm putting you on the stage here and you don't want to, but that's okay. You volunteered. This is what it's like to be vulnerable and uncomfortable. Welcome to my world every day, every day. At least we're not videotaping this because we both have like a mild cold and I just woke up.
We look like hell.
I know. I would plead with you to just take care of yourself. I advocate for this all the time. Why self-care is so, so, so important. And me looking at you going, I need you to take care of yourself. I need you to take care of yourself because I could see that I felt like you were sinking, right? And I could not save you because I could barely save myself. And I'm like, just please take care of yourself. Go to the gym, eat healthy. And for the life of you, you couldn't do it.
No, at that time it was difficult. It was very difficult. And I wasn't the priority at that time.
And that drove me nuts.
Yeah, but it's not your story. It's my story.
But what I'm trying to point out here is, yeah, that was your story. But the fact that you could not prioritize yourself because of the guilt of like, how can I go to the gym and do all this when my wife is like in the hospital? Any waking moment I have, I want to be with her. I would literally be like, can you please leave and just go to the gym or do something? Because I could see that you were sinking. And it's debilitating to watch somebody that you love when you're like trying to take care of yourself going, oh my fuck, can everybody just please take care of themselves and stop trying to project their need to fix me? That was annoying. But I'm saying this because that's the human condition. That's what everybody does. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In hindsight, do you understand why I was saying this to you?
In hindsight, I do. But I don't think even now, so my life is much different now than it was then.
Right.
But even now, I still want to spend every waking moment with my wife that I can, right?
So annoying.
Especially...
I'm just kidding.
especially if you're ill in the hospital in a time of need, right? I want to give you my support now. I'm
never ill in the hospital now.
I'm just saying.
Well, it sounded like present tense.
Hypothetical.
I got you.
I do prioritize myself differently now, and I don't feel guilty for doing it. It's just a matter of commitment to yourself. And at that time, I wasn't important enough.
Right.
I did not have a desire to be better.
The mindset wasn't there.
Right.
Okay. Let's talk about when you leave for a week and you come home and there's a new dog.
What do you want to talk about that?
I'm just kidding. That would never happen in this house, would it?
It's happened. It's happened.
I know. But we lost our little Murky.
We did. Yeah.
He was a good dog. We had to put him down.
Just recently, yes.
Yes. Now he's a little bag of ashes on the shelf. That's creepy. We'll put him under a tree in the spring.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Oliver. Do you love him?
He is an immense pain in my butt as he's a puppy.
He's not a puppy. He's a year old, and we rescued him from the local shelter.
Yeah.
He's puppy-ish.
He's puppy-ish, and he's got a little bit more energy than I'm used to.
Not much.
But he is loving. But he is loving, and he is cute. And we're learning to adapt, him and I. We're learning. And fortunately, it wasn't my bed he peed on last night. Just saying.
I know. You peed on Logan's bed. That's what you get when you let the dog on your bed. Just urinates all over. Anywho, okay. Thank you for this conversation. I know it wasn't comfortable for you.
Did we answer all of your
Probably not.
mastermind questions?
What's your biggest fear?
right now?
Right now, my biggest fear is regressing.
Ooh, I like that. What is your big scary vision right now? I mean, 6 months from now, it'll probably be something else.
Right now, my big scary vision is just to make myself the best version of me, by taking my daily actions that matter and doing them consistently every day and just growing as self.
What scares you about me?
The fact that you don't stop growing.
That's fun. That's exciting. What do you see for me that I don't see for myself?
Power. So part of the reason I went to California, let the cat out of the bag. I went to a mastermind and immersion called Man Wealth.
And you could say the coach's name so people could Google him.
The coach is Satema Gali, and it was.
He looks like The Rock.
He won a Super Bowl with the New England Patriots, and he's established a coaching style that is amazing.
Yeah.
But before Man Wealth, I didn't know what power was. And when I went there, I told all of the guys that were there, said, my wife is the most powerful person I know. Without a doubt. Powerful being you make shit happen. You do the work that is necessary. You do what is required to make things work. Within yourself, within your business, within your family, financially, spiritually, you just make shit happen. You write it out and you do it. And I admire that. So part of the reason I went to Man Wealth is to reconnect with me and to kill these limiting beliefs that are holding me back and change my mindset. Mm-hmm. And I feel because of Satema and his program that I've done this. Mm-hmm. Now I'm still, as the men would say, a rookie at this, but I'm seasoned, and I feel like putting these processes in place are going to make me a better person, a better dad, a better businessman, a better husband, and those things matter to me.
Oh, one of the questions, thank you for that. And it's funny because I don't see that in myself. It's funny how we don't see those things within ourselves, but yet I see you. I always tell you this. I'm like, you're going to be a coach one day. People always call you you have all these women that you used to work with who still call you and go, this happened. And it's like a personal situation. And I'm like, Bryan, they feel safe with you, right? Like, and not in a creepy way, but they feel like safe to open up. Or guys will come to you and I'm like, you're a coach. Or I'll have a friend and, you know, she's talking about her marriage or something or a relationship, and she comes over to visit, and then you guys are like talking at the table and you're helping her solve her problems. So
I thought that was just being part of the husband club.
No, usually they go upstairs and hide and nobody talks to you. You're just really, really good at that. And I don't know what my deal is. I think I just, it was probably a survival tactic, and now it's just a way of being. And I'm like, hey, once you get a taste of this, you don't want to go back, right?
No. In Man Wealth, they coined the term power, excuse me, in a few different ways, but a powerful person knows what he or she wants and does the work that is required to do it. And I see this every day when you're in your passion planner, planning out your days, in your journal entries, in your podcast, and just everything you do with intent. And because this is how you design your life. You designed your life to be here to do these things, and that's powerful to me. You don't really do anything that you don't want to do in all aspects of your life, and you fill yourself and you fill your life with things that bring you joy. Right. And if it doesn't bring you joy, it's gone.
Well, not always.
It's all relative, but most of the time.
I'm just kidding. But yes, or how can I do this task with bringing more joy, right? Making this funner.
And that has definitely shifted my perspective on parenting. But it is, you do have to consciously create the life that you want. I mean, for the most part, we both can be here to put the kids on the bus. We can both be here to take them off, or vice versa. One is gone or whatever. But now we can all be at the dinner table together.
Can I compliment that with something?
No.
I think conscious life creation is important, but conscious self-creation is something that most people don't do. For example, I am worth it. I am this. I am that. Creating yourself in a powerful way is something that was taught to me within the past 2 weeks that I find very valuable because it helps shift my mindset every day. Something that you have to practice and you have to do every single day.
I think that's important. Yeah, people are like, I want this, and it's usually for other people of why they want it. But yeah, when you're consciously creating self, that's different.
Right.
What does it mean to be a 5-star dad and husband?
5-star dad and husband is someone that invests in the relationships and is active and intent with making play dates or making date nights, being involved, listening, creating a safe place for their children to tell them the truth, and not being judgmental, and listening, asking questions that are important, and shutting their mouth and just listening. And I'll ask, and I mean, with the kids or with you, investing in those relationships is important. And I think that most men don't.
What star do you feel like you're at right now?
I think I'm a 3.5 to a 4.
3.75.
It's coming. It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's something that these actions are something you have to do every day. You have to do this every single day. And it's not something that people are going to notice. It could be something just leaving a note in the lunchbox or a text message.
Or biting your tongue when you really want to tell your kid to go fuck themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is something that you have to do every single day. And after a year of doing it, you just gained up a star. You just moved up better. You're
Right.
one step better. And it's playing with your kids in the driveway when it's dark out because they want to spend time with you.
Right.
Because you've been in your laptop all damn day.
Right. Thank you. How difficult was this for you? How uncomfortable?
Not as uncomfortable now as it was before. I can't say enough for Coach Satema and what he did because that really made my life a lot easier. It made my life significantly different than it was before. The ability to have these conversations and be vulnerable and being in a room with 19 other men and cry and share stories and watch, a former Super Bowl winner cry as he's talking about his wife and his kids.
Yeah.
These are passionate men that change lives, much the same as you do. And I think that it's important for everyone out there to understand that if you're not doing the work, you're regressing. You have to constantly be evolving. You have to constantly be looking at your goals and moving towards your goals.
And this is something that I could have never taught you.
No.
You needed to be in a space where you weren't emotionally attached to the person that was guiding you.
It's funny is because if you would have told me that I'm going to connect with 19 other guys in a room and be able to cry and share vulnerable stories about myself, my wife, and my family, I would have laughed at you.
I would have, I didn't tell you that would probably happen.
These men come from all walks of life. Some are doctors, some are successful entrepreneurs, millions of dollars in the bank. It didn't matter. They didn't look at me any differently. It was what we call a fraternity of wealthy men. And this brotherhood that
wealth did not equal what was in your bank account.
Not at all. They looked at someone that shared and was vulnerable and had a like mind. Yeah. And we still talk almost every day. Almost every one of us still send each other messages on Voxer and text messages and Facebook messages because we share this story and we share this connection that is much bigger than having a beer with the guys watching the Super Bowl. No, this is like real life commitment to each other.
What do you say to that? Okay. What do you say to that woman who's watching, who's listening to this, and she's like, oh my God, I so wish I had this with my husband, but he would never, ever, 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 ever do this? Or what do you say to that man who has been forced to listen to this podcast episode by his wife, and he's curious? So you have a man that is not open to this, and he's stuck in his ways, and his wife is like, oh my God, change needs to happen. And then you have that man that is open and curious. What do you say to them?
Well, the man that is open and curious is very easy. Because if you have a goal and you have a need and you think that this is something that you might want, do the work, investigate, do some searching around. I found Man Wealth because I connected with its values. I connected with this specific coach and his message.
Yeah, you looked around. You shopped around for a little bit.
And it was not an easy decision. But once I got on the phone with this gentleman, it was it. I knew. The right coach, the right calling will scream you and slap you in the face. You'll just know. I got to spend my money with this person. If you're curious about it, do it. Period.
Yeah. I always get success with people who are like, I'm terrified. Oh my God, what if? But my gut is screaming yes, so I'm just going to leap. And I'm like, hey, if you leap and trust, we'll figure the money shit out after.
The right coach will bring out the best version of you possible. And it's not about the money because it's irrelevant.
And you're the cheapest person in the entire world.
I am, absolutely. But if you're on the fence and you feel the need, jump in. And don't let fear set you back from something that'll change your life, period.
And what's your... Okay, so you're the person that, like, never wants to be in debt. And we'll just be completely transparent. And so the funny thing is people who are, like, millionaires, billionaires still have debt, but it's leveraged debt, right? So the debt that they do have is a reinvestment in themselves or their business or something. It's not like they just went and binge shopped or something like that. They've leveraged and they're going to be able to pay it off relatively quickly. So, and what relatively quickly might be a few years as well, but understanding it's an investment, it's a positive investment. So what was your perspective on literally being like, okay, let's leverage this?
Well, the money thing was always limiting me because of my self-limiting beliefs. I didn't believe it was worth it. And when I got there, being brutally honest with their group, I told them the case. I told them exactly what I was thinking, exactly what happened. And Satema stood up and says, I think almost in these exact words, what the fuck is debt? Says, debt is a mindset. It's not debt. He says, Apple has debt. billion-dollar companies have debt. He says, him personally, he says, I have debt, but I know that debt is making me money. So this debt that we put out to cover this expense of Man Wealth, it's not debt because this has changed my life tenfold.
Right.
And I don't think I could be sitting at this table across from you having this conversation without this investment, without this knowledge of self, without this power, because it really did bring me my power back, or as a good friend would call it, his mojo.
Yeah, I love that. So what do you say to that man that is just not open and curious?
Well,
and then we'll wrap it up.
If you're sitting there and you're hearing this and you're being forced to listen to this, open yourself up to the realm of possibility. Open yourself up to what may be, what could be. Take a look at the other side of the table. What could happen? Just be open. Because the chances are, if you're not open to this, this is something that you want and you're just terrified of it. And if you're afraid of it, it's the way that you need to be going. You need to move towards that fear. I was the person at the other end of the table.
I never thought in a million years I would hear you say that.
I was the person at the other end of the table that was not interested. I was closed off. Why? Because I was afraid and I didn't feel I was worth it. So don't let your stories close you off, and don't let your stories keep you from evolving. I think that you need to open your eyes to new perspectives. For example, if you're a vegan, pick up a hunting magazine. Start learning different perspectives in life so that you may not choose to...
So you don't have to be so
Yeah, you may not
one-sided.
choose to be a carnivore, but you can at least understand their perspectives, because perspectives do alter everything.
Right. You're so wise.
Like a damn owl.
Yeah, you're like a little owl. Thank you. Anything else you want to say?
I just want to shout out to the fellas over at Man Wealth, because
The fellas.
I'm gonna share this with them, this podcast. I think that
You are.
they changed my life, and they made my family life better, my
Let's be
business
honest,
life better.
I changed your life first.
I'm very proud to say I'm a member of this elite fraternity of men, and I do highly recommend anyone that's on the fence, man or woman, to invest in make an investment in yourself in a coach of some capacity,
Yeah.
because it will level you up in a way that you have no idea is possible. Absolutely.
Be scared.
I think the hashtag we were using was "do shit afraid."
Do shit afraid.
Yeah, do shit afraid. Because if you're complacent and you're just in the rut, then you're just going to stay in that rut, and that rut leads off the cliff. But if you're doing shit when you're afraid, it means you're uncomfortable and you're doing shit that's repaving a new path.
Are you ever naked and afraid?
No, I'm never naked and afraid.
Oh, God. Where can people find you?
I am a ghost. No, I'm just kidding. I am on Instagram as Bryan Chauvin, and Facebook.
BRYANCHAUVIN.
And I'm on Facebook as the same, or my company is FCL Property Buyers.
And what does FCL stand for?
Felix, Calvin, and Logan.
Awesome. What about your personal email if somebody wants to email you? Because I know this isn't what you do, but sometimes people just like to ask questions and
You're gonna blow my shit up, are you?
No, I just think it would be great for people who want to reach out and go, how do I engage this conversation with my husband?
So my personal email is bryanrchauvin@gmail.com.
Cool. Okay, I'll put that in the show notes.
Reach out.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
I love you.
Love you.
You can come back on the show?
I could come back on the show if my wife will let me,
Okay.
and the show host.
Which is our morning coffee at the
Yeah.
dinner table.
If you guys will have me back as a guest, I would love to come back.
All right. Let me know. Send Bryan some questions, and then once you get a little rally of cues, we can answer them.